What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Telcoin today. I've got my little purple bonnet on, and here we are on the 15th day of November, sitting at about $0.0059 with 7 hours and 41 minutes left in the day. We're up 16.5%, which is nice. It makes you want to FOMO and buy so that you can catch the 1,000% move that's coming tomorrow, right? But that's probably not what's going to happen. Let's look at Telcoin here through hopefully a logical point of view. Okay, looking at this on Bybit, this is the exchange that likely has the most volume for Telcoin. Maybe KuCoin does. I forget which one has more volume, but regardless, Bybit, one of the top exchanges in the world, certainly going to be applicable as far as readings on volume goes. Okay, we had a lot of volume come in this week. We had a very nice pump. We're up 78%, but where we stopped, where we found resistance, is literally at our most relative weekly closing high, which more or less just above or just below, in this sense, like just above or just below the line, in this area we find resistance, right? We found resistance throughout here, we found resistance throughout here, we found resistance right here, and I'd even bet going back in time, let's just see. Nope, no significance there, to be fair. This is not the all-time history for Telcoin, but no, we don't see any real significance. That's just, I mean, I guess we closed a low there, kind of, but more relatively speaking, we've definitely found some significance in this area. What I'm trying to say here is, thinking logically, are we likely just going to blast through the roof on this zone, or might we consolidate beforehand? In fact, let's compare Telcoin to Zcash and Dash. There's something to take away from this, okay? Now, Zcash here, whenever it pumped, it had its first initial pump. Where did it consolidate? It consolidated right here. You found resistance here, and you continued to find resistance here. Sure, you went a little bit higher. Take notes, Telcoin, if we go a little bit higher, don't get too excited, because we did pull back still, didn't we? And where was this level? Where was this level right here for Zcash? This level was, come on now. Come on now, we got to go way back, baby. Here we go, come on. It was right below, just below, right, our prior cycle high. You look at the prior cycle high here, on Coinbase, we consolidated just below this level. And then when we moved higher, did we stop here at all? Hell no, we broke through it. Same kind of thought with Telcoin. Here's our high level. Here's our, high level here. It's not last cycle's high or anything like that, but it's our high level. We're consolidating below it, so that when we come up to this level where everybody's going to think to sell, we're probably going to blast through it. We're probably going to blast through it. We're probably going to blast through this level as well, right? And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But my thoughts here are that Zcash, we look at Dash too, same kind of thing, right? We look at where Dash consolidated. Where did Dash consolidate here, right? It consolidated here. Here's where its initial run was. It consolidated for quite some time. Where it consolidated was just below this low, just below this low, right? We're nowhere near last cycle's high, but still significant lows, or sorry, highs, significant highs. We're just below this high. We consolidated right below there. And then when we broke out, did we stop at these levels? No, we passed them immensely. Telcoin's doing the same thing. It's consolidating just below these levels. And then whenever it has its run up, it's up 40% in a day, and it's right here. It's going to chill for like an hour or 4. People are going to feel so smart at calling for resistance here. We're going to know better. We're going to know that you're probably going to push through it. You're probably going to push through it, okay? But with that being said, did you notice with Zcash and Dash that these events were not one day up, one day down, and then we rallied? We consolidated for 5 days. We consolidated for a week and a half. That's how long we consolidated for. And I think that's what we're doing here with Telcoin, is I think we're going to consolidate. So likely Telcoin, we will even return back to prices that are, around 0.005 itself. We're at 0.0058 right now. That doesn't seem that significant, but we're talking about a drop that could be greater than 13%. We could even see lower prices than what we saw yesterday. We could drop 18% from here and still rally. So I'm not saying this because I'm bearish on Telcoin. I like Telcoin. We've been very bullish on Telcoin actually for a while now. We didn't talk about it. we didn't talk about it all throughout this drop here because there are various other coins that we were talking about. We did mention Telcoin. I'm kind of curious when the last video was of Telcoin that I had before it pumped. Let me actually look. I'm kind of curious. Just real quick. Telcoin. I'll just type in Telcoin on my stuff. You guys can't see what I'm doing. I can see it, but let's just see. November 5th. Before it pumped, the last one was November 5th, and before that was October 14th, and before that was October 2nd. So November 5th was at the low here. Yeah, it was relative to the low, and we were talking about it moving up. So that's kind of just in response that I forget where I was going with that. I can't remember. But we've talked about this for a long time. That's in response to the thought of, do we like Telcoin? Yes, we do. Right. I'm not just being bearish on it. I love Telcoin. I think it's going to go up. We've actually been talking about it for quite some time, and we do think that it has very interesting prospects. It definitely has 100x or more capabilities by the end of the cycle. But you're still not absolved of consolidating before the breakout, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen. If we look at this on the 1 hour time frame here, the 1 hour time frame, you've got a little bit of volume coming in. Volume here came in, but you didn't go anywhere. You found a kind of a lower high, a double top, if that, right? That doesn't mean that we have to go below these lows, but if we do, don't fret. Don't freak out, nobody panic. We look at this here from a low to a high, and you actually just missed your 382. You came up, found resistance at your 069. From here, it's completely possible to not just return to your 382, but to go to your golden ratio. Telcoin from here, from 00586, could, I'm not saying that it will, this is not my call, but it could drop 20, that's 36% or more. We could drop all the way down to 0037 to 0035 and then come up. I personally doubt that that's what we're going to do. I would think more so we probably find support either right at the 382, just below the 382, or maybe at the 0.5, somewhere in there. But I really do think that there's a scenario here where we do take out the lows from yesterday. Okay? And not only that, there's a scenario where we take out the lows and we bounce from there and then we move higher. So is it a good time to buy now? If we're treating this like a range, you're kind of in the upper quadrant of this range. I don't think it's a good time to buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Now, if you're looking for the long term, if you're looking for what this thing has to offer by the end of the cycle, you've got 100x potential here. Sure, don't let me stop you. Don't let me stop you. But if you buy here, just tell yourself you're okay with a little bit of volatility, that you can even withstand something on the lines of like a 30% drop or more, okay? Because it could happen. It really could happen. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We'll zoom out from there. We'll do some like standard analysis. Okay, looking at the indicators, the RSI has rejected the overbought zone twice now. You really tried, but you just didn't get anywhere. There's more volume selling than I think there is buying. Stochastics are bullish, but rejecting as well, looking like they want to come down. The MACD looks nice, but still you can come down, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want to be clear too, in case I have anybody confused. I'm not necessarily calling for us to go below these lows. I'm just saying it could happen. I do believe we go lower from here, but we could find support right here, right at these prior areas of resistance and support. It's hard to say. We could hold this low as a low, and we form a higher low based off of this. We don't get below that. I don't know. I do believe we go lower than 005859. I believe we go lower than this price, but how much lower? The only thing I feel confident about saying is that I do think we go below this low. And I think it's possible that we go below this low. I don't believe that we go all the way down to the golden ratio. I would expect that if we do go below this low, that we are just below this low. We probably hold 0048 or let's say 0046 as support. You likely hold 0046 as support. So somewhere between here and there. But that doesn't mean you go all the way down there. That just means you could. Okay, you could, and you have prior resistance point right here to find support off of. Maybe that's exactly what you do. Maybe that's literally exactly what you do, because again, from the low, well, that wasn't the low. From the low, is that the low? No, that's not the low. This is the low over here. Okay, this is the low. Low to the high, your 382 is right there, and typically you do wick just below the 382. You don't do this. Typically, you don't find support just above the 382. Typically, and in this scenario where you reject the 069, typically you will go, I mean, honestly, in this scenario where you reject the 069, typically you actually go to the golden ratio. But I'm not calling for that. I'm calling for something around 0046 to 0048. Really, I suppose. We're at 0058 now. So, yes, I guess I do believe we're going to go below those lows. If I'm being fair. I guess I do believe that. Looking at the 1 hour or the 4 hour indicators now. That doesn't mean we will. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. 4 hour RSI. We've got 3 hours, 32 minutes left. Let's wait and see how it goes. But it looks like you're rejecting the overbought zone here, furthering the idea that we do go lower. Stochastics. I would think we go lower based off the stochastics. You don't typically bounce here. I mean, let's just put a line here. Have we had any bounces that sustained from here that took us to the overbought zone? No, this doesn't count. Resistance points, sure. I'm not seeing a single line of support there. The more that we zoom out. Right there, boom, there you go. Right there. We had a little bit of support right there, but that was coming up, not coming down like we are now. Support right there. Hey, it does happen. It does happen. It's just uncommon. And hey, this was from coming down too. So we have found support right in this area, but I think that we're going to come down lower. Personally, I think that we will with the stochastics here. I think that we will come down. We'll probably be ready to move up once you hit the oversold zone. You don't have to get this low, but once you hit the oversold zone, that's just my thoughts. Okay, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. The MACD, it's bullish overall, but you can still come lower and be bullish overall. You know, I'll be proven wrong if we get a 4-hour time frame to close above here. Okay, has to have more volume than what we saw here. Okay. If there's less volume than what we had over the past 2 4-hour candles, if we're closing up here and it's got less volume than those 2 candles do there, likely we will form a slightly higher high double top. But if we're building volume, we'll continue to grow. Close above 006721 on a 4-hour basis or higher time frame, and I'm wrong. Until then, I maintain the stance that we probably do go just below these lows. Probably. Doesn't mean we have to, but that's just my thoughts. Daily time frame. Right below these lows too, man. Look at that. Daily closing highs, right? It's just right there. Right there. Prior support, it's perfect. It's literally perfect. Daily RSI. The daily RSI looks really good. You know, we're up 17% today. You know, if we close above this daily high close here, that will give us a little bit of bearish divergence. That doesn't mean that we're going to tank. It just might be more reason to consolidate again for 5 days to a week. Nothing crazy. Right? Next week should be good. If not next week, then certainly at the end of the month we should be rallying. Overall, your daily timeframes look very good, very healthy. Daily stochastics look great. Daily MACD looks great. You're crossing above the zero. I would expect that, you know, sometime next week, personally, if not the following week. Next week is what I think, but if not sometime by the end of this month, I would think that we're moving past this level. And the next level really to consider, if we are moving past this, would be the 786, 886 area. Okay, it's very common. And look at this too, man. The 382 is right below there too. Wouldn't it be crazy if we went right down there? It's very common to go from your golden ratio as resistance to go to your 0.5382 area for support, and then when you break back up above the golden ratio, you go to your 786, 886. Okay. Really, if you want to prove me wrong, I guess if you close a 4-hour or a daily time frame above 0.0069, there's no way that we're doing anything but going to 0.009 or higher. Okay, 1.07 cents to 0.009. That's the next target area. Okay, that's the next target area, and it will take you above these highs. And then what are we going to do? We're going to do the same thing that I talked about in the beginning of this video. We're going to consolidate just below the high, and then whenever we make our run, people are going to think we're going to stop here, but no, we're going to continue, and we'll push on to 2 cents. Okay, if you got excited at hearing that Telcoin could go to 1 cent, just wait, man. This thing's going to go to 2 cents and beyond. You very well could be, Telcoin could be at 2 cents in like the first week of December. I think personally, as early as by the end of next week, we could be at 0.009 to 1.07 cents. By the end of this month, we really could be all the way up at 2 cents. It's possible. But I think what we're going to do is next week we'll rally. End of month we'll consolidate a little bit. And then early December we'll rally back to these this 2 cent to 3.5 cent area. Okay, that's my thoughts. And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll be right. I don't know. I don't care. Time will tell. TEL, USDT. Let's look at KuCoin. A little bit more history here. We'll take the cycle high from last cycle to the bear market low here. We're not going to take the fake out low. We'll take this low here actually. Golden ratio down to the 236. Yeah, you're going to go. I would think by the end of this year, Telcoin, you'll be worth 2.6 cents to 4 cents by the end of the year. If I'm wrong, it's only because you went higher. Maybe by the end of the year you're above 6.5 cents. I would think new all-time highs, though, probably come in 2026. And in which case, again, bare minimum target by the end of the cycle for Telcoin is a 34x from here. I don't think we stop there. I personally think Telcoin sees a 156x between its current price and the end of the cycle. And again, this is the long-term stuff where I was saying, if you want to buy here, don't let me stop you. I don't care if we go a little bit lower. I don't care. We're inevitably going to go to dramatically higher prices. If you buy here, and even if we do go lower, sit through the pain. At a minimum, 34x is your minimum. At a maximum, 158x. And the reality is, guys, we could go higher than that. We really could. This thing's got a lot of potential. And I know it sounds crazy, but man, crazy things happen. from a low point here to a high point here last cycle, we saw a 1,120x. 1,120x. That's what 112% growth is a 1,120x. 1,120x is like $1,000 turns into $1.1 million. Okay, right? I'm not calling for that. I'm calling for something that's like a fraction of that, a tenth of that, right? 150x from here. The potential to go higher is definitely there. We could go to $3 or higher, but typically whenever you see new cycle highs, you typically either stop at the golden ratio, the 1414, or the 2272. I don't really oftentimes see you stopping here or here. Anything can happen. Certainly anything can happen, but that's just my thoughts. I think that by the end of the cycle, Telcoin most likely will be somewhere between about 40 cents and $1. That's my guess. Right now being at about $0.0059. So I got nothing else. Thank you all for being here. Do prepare for slightly lower prices. And if I'm wrong, really you just got to close above 007, and then I'm wrong. And that's fine. And if I'm wrong, and we don't go lower first, and if I'm wrong and we just start moving up tomorrow, let's say that this video is not even 24 hours old and we're already back into this golden ratio zone, then prepare yourselves for prices that are going to be anywhere from about 0.009 to about 1.07 cents, okay? Anything from a 50 to a 70, 80% pump from here, okay? If I'm wrong. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye-bye.